The open world genre is a pretty saturated genre, and I can't lie, a majority of games within that genre probably would be better off if they just weren't open world games. For example, Rage 2. It's got incredible gunplay, incredible combat encounters, it's got so many fun mechanics, but you can't use any of those mechanics half the time because you're too busy driving a car in a barren, empty wasteland thinking, why the hell did I buy this game? And I think a lot of open world games fall into this trap where they just think bigger is better, and in turn they use crutches like vehicles or horse riding to try and minimize the space in between the fun bits when you're just traversing this empty open world which in reality is pretty lifeless. Some of them tried to alleviate this problem with Red Dead Redemption 2 starting out with random encounters that you can come across on your journeys, but the fact you can auto-ride in that game if you set a waypoint kinda goes to show that they knew that they might have made it a bit too big for their own good, and in reality there's not actually much to do in between. I think way too many open world games fall into this category, and yeah, it's probably a reason why I don't really like the genre, and whenever a game says that it's open world, I just roll my eyes and groan because I don't really want to run across an empty, pretty looking area on a horse for a solid 20 minutes when I could just be having fun. You know? But an open world game can be fun, and that's when they look at this time spent in between point A and point B and think, how can we make this enjoyable and engaging for the player? And that's why the best open world games I've played are ones that focus on traversal. That is the aspect of an open world that makes or breaks it for me. Because when a developer focuses on making that part fun, then you're having fun through the entire thing. You know, you're not having moments of boring downtime where you're just doing nothing but going in a straight line, occasionally fighting an enemy that is probably under-leveled to you because you've been doing all the side shit, which is also pretty boring. No, instead, you're thinking of fun ways to get from that point A to point B, keeping yourself engaged throughout it. And a good example of this is Sunset Overdrive. I'm mentioning Sunset Overdrive again. This is the new Evil Within for me, fellas. No, it's not. I can't replace the Evil Within. But Sunset Overdrive is basically just a giant playground. Getting from point A to point B is the game, really. I know there's a story and main objectives, but the most fond memories I have playing Sunset Overdrive is just jumping around the open world. And that's because it focused on having fun traversal mechanics. And they did this again for the Spider-Man games, enhancing it in Spider-Man 2, adding even more freedom to the ways you can swing around. And there's a reason why people just open up these open world games, to play them for the open world, rather than thinking, fuck's sake, I have to traverse an open world. Let me get in my car or get on my motorbike or my horse and just go in a straight line again. Thing is though, vehicles can definitely work in making an open world way more engaging. And a good example of this is Days Gone, which looking back on it is an open world game that I didn't feel fatigued about. Like, I didn't feel dread opening it up knowing I had to go through and traverse the bland open world. I had fun going through it, and that's because of the motorbike. The motorbike is basically a character in on itself. That shit can break down or run out of fuel at any point on your journey, which adds a little bit of I don't know, like, it makes getting from point A to point B more interesting because you don't know what's going to happen. You could get ambushed by a group of bandits or whatever and get knocked off your motorbike, or it could run out of fuel and you have to push it and try and find some fuel for it. It works very well for the apocalyptic setting, and I don't know, I wish more games did this type of thing rather than just giving you as many vehicles as you want that don't break down or crash unless you deliberately crash them or shoot them or blow them up yourself. And I think subconsciously a lot of people aren't realizing that they're also bored of these open world games because everyone slowly gravitates towards the most fast vehicle they can get. And that's probably because they just want to get from point A to point B as fast as they can because it's boring, it's monotonous. And so many of these open world games have this problem. A lot of these games do look nice, but there's only so much that looking nice can get you. Like the Horizon games, holy shit, the Horizon games, man. They look incredible, they run incredible, they feel responsive and all that shit, but like, God, getting around the open world is so boring. All you can really do is run, or hijack a robot which makes you move faster. There's nothing else to it, and it's boring. So you spend most of your time trying to get as many fast travel points as you can, so you don't have to traverse the open world. Just like a lot of the new Assassin's Creed games. Yeah, that's another example. The older Assassin's Creed games usually took place in like, they were still pretty big, but they were like compact cities and towns, which allowed you to scale rooftops and engage with the parkour to make the traversal fun for yourself. But in these new RPG Assassin's Creeds, they're so big that it falls into the trap again where you get a vehicle to get from point A to point B faster. What is the point of having a parkour mechanic when you're going to be spending most of your time doing this anyway? But this is what I mean. I feel like more open world games could learn a thing or two from things like Days Gone, Sunset Overdrive, Dying Light, all these games with more of a focus on the traversal rather than using it as a crutch to get through the boring open world. And to make this completely fair, because I don't want you to feel like I'm shitting on your favorite game here, I love Elden Ring, right? But that game falls into these traps that I'm complaining about. The Horse Torrent in that is the best example of an open world crutch. Like, you get a fast travel for every checkpoint in Elden Ring as well. It is, I don't know, like, Elden Ring on a second playthrough specifically feels like such a chore to get around, and that's because of the open world, and it's because there's no engaging traversal mechanics to get to the points where you want to get to, and that's the legacy dungeons, which are basically just the Dark Souls and Bloodborne areas. In between that, it's pretty much just kind of like, it's whatever, it's like stuff you can just live without, like shitty little dungeons that give you a crafting recipe book. There you go, like, I love Elden Ring. Elden Ring is in my top 10 games of all time, but it suffers from having an open world. And that's because there's no focus on the traversal. You can get far with the sense of mystery and exploration, but like, that shit's gone on a second playthrough. The real thing that keeps an open world game fun is traversal. And again, I want more open world games to focus on this. I give The Evil Within 2 a pass though, because it's the sequel to The Evil Within 1, which is the best game ever made. Big thank you to my Patreon supporters. Pitstab, you're a legend. Bouncer Storm Productions, another legend. And Daniel Levchenko, I still can't say your name properly. If you want to correct me, please let me know in the comments, or you can message me on Patreon. If you want to support the channel, then check out my Patreon, or if you want to get something nice for yourself as well as supporting the channel, use code Proxidist for 20% off anything on G Fuel. If you like caffeine like me, I'm a caffeine fiend. I wake up and I drink caffeine and then I go to sleep. That is my entire day. That's all I do every day.